Okay, I'm going to answer the question for you, which you probably never had this question before anyway, which is how to make a fresh fruit strip out of commercial puff pastry that you can buy in a supermarket, okay? This is it right here. I bought this in a supermarket. It came folded up. It thawed out. I unfolded it, and there it is, okay? We're going to need a little bit of egg wash for this, and I bought a couple of eggs here. And we're going to make the egg wash with the egg yolks and a little bit of heavy cream and a little splash of water. Now we want that heavy cream in there and not just the water because it helps the browning aspect of the tart when it's baking. So we're going to put 2 egg yolks and maybe a tablespoon and a half of cream and a teaspoon or a tablespoon of cold water. We're going to mix it up, and it's ready to go, okay? So there's our egg wash. Now, how to cut and assemble and prepare this for the oven. This is a little bit tricky. So first you make a determination of how big you want the tart to be. And this pastry, the way it comes in the supermarket, does not need to be rolled out, okay? So I'm going to take and we're going to make a rectangle with a border on it. I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So let's start by cutting a piece off lengthwise this way. And let's take another piece this way. Okay. And let's take a piece this way. And take a piece off this way. Now, here's your first border right here. We're going to take this and cut a long strip. We're going to put this on the baking paper now so we don't have to transfer it as it gets a little bit softer at room temperature. We're going to egg wash this like that. We're going to lay this strip right on there like that. Press it down a little bit and we're going to trim the edge off. We're going to do the same thing with the piece we cut off on the other side. We'll just use this one. It's all the same anyway. Egg wash the other side. This is going to puff and you're going to have a border all the way around this shell after it's baked. See? I'm going to cut that off. Now we're going to take this piece and get it straightened out so it's one straight piece. And we're going to do the same thing with the other end piece. We're going to egg wash this and this. I'm going to lay this right on there. That should be a perfect fit, see? Press that down there like that. Same thing again, we're going to press that in there. Now, we want the border to puff, but we don't want the inside to puff quite as much. So we're going to do the inside with the fork and make the perforated holes so the inside doesn't puff quite as much as the outside. That way you have a border that will act as a perimeter all the way around the filling for this tart shell later, okay? Now we're going to egg wash the entire thing so it gets nice and brown. And we're going to bake this at 400 degrees. Puff pastry in particular is always baked at 400 and then is turned down after it's puffed and baked at a lower temperature to dehydrate it a little bit. And I'll explain that to you when we get to that. But for right now, let's get this in the oven. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of utility spoons on this paper because this is a convection oven that we're going to put it in, and we don't want the wind in the oven blowing the paper onto the tart shell itself, and it'll prevent it from browning and cooking and rising. So I'm going to pop this in the oven right now. I've got a convection oven over here, and it's in. So that is going to be, of course you want to save your puff pastry scraps if you have a use for them, and which I don't today, so I'm throwing them out. But I'll be back when this starts to get puffed, and we'll take it out, and we'll then turn the oven down to, say, 200 degrees and cook that baked pastry shell for another 10, 15, 20 minutes. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because the 16 layers of pastry with butter in between them that the puff pastry is made up of gets wet inside, and you cook it on a lower temperature to help dehydrate that so that the pastry is a little bit crispier. Okay? So I'll be back when that's ready to come out of the oven. All right. Okay, the puff pastry is puffed, nice and brown. I let it get as brown as it is right now so that it's, let's get rid of these spoons. I took it out about 5 minutes ago. It's moderately cool right now, but I wanted to show you how it just comes right off the paper. You see here? But I mentioned to you about this being dehydrated, okay? So it's already brown enough all the way around. So what I want to do is I'm going to put a piece of foil on this, and I'm going to put it in a 200 degree convection oven, or 150. You can even put it in 100 degree. Let it dehydrate and get crispier all the way through. Okay? So let's stick this back in the convection oven, which I have set at 150. Okay? And we'll let that go for, at least 15 or 20 minutes, okay? Then I'll bring it back out, we'll let it cool, then I'll show you how to fill it and decorate it. We'll be back in 15, 20 minutes. All right, the puff pastry strip's been dehydrating in the oven for about 20 minutes. Just took it out, looks good to me, looks beautiful, look. Notice how you can just pick it up, it's crisp. We're going to let this cool off for 15, 20 minutes, or we can let it cool off overnight at room temperature if we want to. Just make sure you never put this in the refrigerator before it gets filled, because the moisture in the refrigerator will take some of the crispiness away from the pastry. So you can make this up to this point and store it at room temperature. I wouldn't do it beyond 1 day, that's enough. And if you do happen to want to do that, because you want to do this in stages instead of all at one time the same day, the following day when you want to fill it and with the fruit and glaze it and finish it and so on and serve it, you can put this back in the oven to crisp it up a little bit more again if you think you need to on a second day before it's filled. Okay, so let's let it cool off, and we'll be back to finish this off in a little while. Okay, we're getting to the good part now with this fruit strip, which is completely cooled now, and we're going to fill it with fruit and chocolate, and I'm going to dust the trim border on this with powdered sugar before we even fill it, and I'm going to do that first, okay? We're going to end up putting this dessert on a plate for you. Let's get some sugar on the edges here. Notice how I'm doing that. So I'm not saturating the whole thing with sugar, just hitting the part that needs to be sugared. And you can do this after you bake it too, but my fruit's going to have glaze on it, and I don't want to set this metal on here. Okay, that'll work right there. Okay, now, first, the tempered chocolate ganache in the bottom of the shell. It's got to be spreadable so you're not ripping the shell up in the process. You could put pastry cream in here. These would be the two most used things to do this particular step for filling this tart with, would be chocolate ganache or pastry cream. You don't need If you put pastry cream in, you'd probably put more of that in than you would of the chocolate ganache. Chocolate ganache is kind of intense and strong, so to speak, okay? Now, we're going to fill this with fruit, but when we fill it with the fruit, we want to do it in a way so that we can cut each order or each portion cleanly inside the tart shell, okay? So I'm going to figure out what a portion is first, see? If I put a strawberry here, one piece like that, that's a portion. So I can cut in between the strawberries, you see? There's 2 portions. There's 3 portions, 4 portions, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 portions that we're going to get out of this, okay? Now I have some kiwi, banana, grapes that I cut in half, raspberries and blueberries. Let's just line them up in here any way we want to. Now, let's put the kiwi next to the strawberry. And I peeled the kiwi. Let's peel another one too for you. So the green is going next to the red. Can you get a clear shot on that? It looks like 7. We'll put 7 slices of kiwi on there. Good kiwi. Now let's put some banana. This looks good already to me. And I have some red currant jelly that I watered down a little bit, some Smuckers that I bought at the supermarket to finish this off with. Need a little bit more banana here. Now let's put some raspberry. Let's put the raspberries all the way on the end, because they're kind of, that's kind of a good fit for them. You just line them up back to back, side by side. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Now let's put a blueberry in the other hole here. Got that little slot left there. And then we're going to squeeze the grapes in somewhere on top of that. I like the addition of the grapes with this. Maybe we'll put the grape right on top of the banana. Okay, now that didn't take that long. This is real time now. I didn't do really any preparation on that. Now I have red currant jelly that's melted down, and we're gonna do a little bit of dolloping on that. This is a little bit thick. I'm gonna heat this up just a touch. And what we're gonna end up with here is we're gonna end up slicing it, putting it on a plate. I'm going to garnish it with some whipped cream and some vanilla custard sauce. Could you put other stuff on it? Could you add chocolate sauce, raspberry sauce, apricot sauce? Yes, so we're not going to. This dessert doesn't need all of that stuff added to it. Now, you can put it on with a brush, or you can put it on with a spoon. I think in this case, I'm going to dab some of this on with a spoon, and then maybe touch it up with the brush. This is a pretty good fresh fruit tart. Not that difficult to make. Has a few little technique issues involved in it in terms of getting the pastry together, getting it baked properly. But other than that, it doesn't require a lot of skill. You can make this come off really well the very first time you make it. Okay, I think we have enough of the glaze on there. Now, we can take this tart shell off of this at this point, like this. And I'm going to get us a plate here. And let's put it on a plate. This is just how fast and easy you can do this. So let's cut it right here. And now let's take one of those portions that I made, which has a little bit of all the fruit on it. That does look good. And let me get the whipped cream. Of course, you can go to the video for how to load this bag and make your own fresh whipped cream. And there's nothing wrong with real canned whipped cream also. A couple of the blueberries fell off. I just put them back on. But you see here, look, you see where that blueberry fell off? Let's put the whipped cream right there to cover that up. You see there? And let's take some creme anglaise, some vanilla sauce, and put that next to it. Could you dust this with cocoa powder? Could you go like this on the plate and put more? Could you come up with something else, some candied orange rind or orange rind that's sugared to garnish it? You could. You don't need to. This dessert is just so fresh and nice and tasty the way it is. The vanilla sauce and the whipped cream does it all. So there you have it. A fresh fruit chocolate strip glazed with red currant. And this is a nice dessert. This is something you need to eat usually the same day that it's made. Okay? Enjoy this one. Good luck if you make it. You don't need that much luck because you got me and this video to look at. Thank you.